I'm really grateful for this time being celibate because it truly helped me see my role as a girlfriend differently, so that the next man that I date is truly going to be my husband, one that truly loves me and provides for me as a masculine, instead of me being the woman and serving him. Growing up with a misogynistic father, I realized truly that I put myself second in the relationship. As a woman, I thought that I was second, that I was last, when in reality, men are indebted to women. And I know this is going to trigger a lot of insecure men, but seeing it this way really changed my perspective. Why? Because women for lifetimes have been the oracles of men. We've been the oracles, we've been the intuition, we've been the power, we've been the energy behind the success of men. It's thanks to our intuition, it's thanks to our healing capabilities, it's thanks to our portal between our legs, it's thanks to our body that they are able to come here on earth. Without women, men would not exist. Let me repeat. Without women, men would not exist. Life would not exist. And this tickled something in my brain where I realized, why am I the one serving man, and why am I the one in a relationship acting as if I am the one that needs to serve man, as if him giving me the bare minimum, I should be grateful for it, when in reality that man better worship the ground that I walk on, when in reality that man better do absolutely everything that he can to make me happy. He should be the one paying for things. He should be the one bringing me somewhere that is going to bring me peace and happiness. He should be the one making sure that his being next to me brings me happiness. The second that he sees that I'm unhappy, or that I get insecure, or that something, he needs to rectify that. And this is not in a codependent way where it's like, oh, I can't be happy like unless I have a man. No, that is the opposite, actually. Especially with the celibacy, I decentered men to such a point where I am happy by myself. And the whole, you know, the phrase and the sentence that goes in, it's like, oh, you the relationship, like you need to complement one another. This is where it clicked, and it's like, it's truly that, but it's the man that needs to complement the woman. The woman is a goddess. We are goddesses. We are truly fucking goddesses. Men need to worship the ground that we are on. And the thing is that this is going to trigger insecure men. Why? Because they think that automatically we say that we're not going to do anything, but this is because they don't see the power of women. A real man, a real secure man, a man that is truly masculine, a real masculine man knows and sees the power of a woman. He doesn't see just the body. He doesn't see, and he would never dare to ask, what do you bring to the table? What are you bringing me? How are you making me comfortable? Oh. A man saying, how are you making me comfortable? And this is where I fucked up with John, because I would always try to make him comfortable. He would always tell me, playing the victim, that he was unhappy and I was catering to his needs, but he would never cater to my needs. God forbid I asked him to do something, one small thing, and he would go into a whole tantrum, a baby, like literally a baby. When in reality, it needs to be the opposite. In reality, it's the woman that needs to be the goddess, and the man sees the oracle that she is, sees the energy that she holds. As women, we've been around our own energy for so long that we forgot how powerful it is. We've been with our energy our entire life, so we forget the effect that our energy has on men. We forget, and especially in the patriarchal energy, and especially when you're around misogynistic men, we believe that we are there to serve men, when in reality it's the complete opposite. I swear, when you start seeing yourself as a goddess, when you start seeing yourself as the powerhouse, you look at men as them serving you. And to continue on my thought process, it's not in a way of demeaning them, but this is what the role of the masculine is. And as women, we already hold empathy, compassion, and grace. Men don't have that. They're not born with that. They have to learn that. We have to learn boundaries. We have to learn how to build our ego. That is what we have to learn as feminine. A man that is looking for a woman that serves him is looking for a man. That man is gay. Shout out John. Because he is looking for a masculine energy in his presence. He's not looking for a woman. He's not looking for a feminine energy. He is looking for a masculine energy. The feminine energy, again, we already hold empathy, compassion, grace, and emotional maturity. We already hold it within us. We are learning boundaries and ego. That's what we're learning through this process. So already us saying that men need to worship the ground that we walk on, and that they need to be serving us, already has empathy, compassion, and grace. We're not doing it from a standpoint of dictatorship, or from I don't know if I'm using the right word, or from an authoritarian perspective, or from the fact that we see men lower than us. Absolutely not. It's just the truth. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just the truth. Men are indebted to us because we already put them in this world. And us loving them and us letting them worship us means that they are staying next to our energy. So already we are giving them a gift. Them being at the same frequency as us and being around us, sleeping with us, touching the energy of our portal, we're already giving them a gift. We're giving them the gift of our oracle intuitive energy within. That is the gift. So there's absolutely nothing else that we need to do. And this is why truly, like, I'm getting more and more, I'm not opening a fucking door. I'm not paying for shit. I'm not buying gifts. I'm not paying for your stuff. I'm not doing, I've never gone 50-50, but I'm never doing 50-50 in nothing. I am not staying there arguing with you about basic human emotions. Like, my whole perspective through this celibacy changed completely. And especially looking at the relationship with John and the whole narrative falling, it all crumbled. And it baffles me because he literally has two sisters. He has two sisters, and he's the prince of the family, of course. His mother is the type of mother that chooses his son over her husband. And that's besides the point. But yeah, girls, women, literally, we are goddesses. We need to start realizing that and no longer seeing it as something that is egotistical. And even if we do see it as egotistical, we already were born without the ego because we are women. We are intuitive beings from the get-go. We needed to learn ego. We needed to gain ego. We needed to build our ego. The goal is for us to get to the point where we are goddesses. And yeah, if you're asking me out on a date, you're sending me a car, or you're sending me an Uber, you're sending me something. You're opening the fucking door everywhere that I go. If you see me crying, you rectify the situation. If I'm crying because of you, you rectify the situation immediately. If you see that I'm stressed, you rectify the situation immediately, especially if it's because of you. You're the one buying me gifts. You're the one paying for shit. You're the one making sure that my environment is safe for me to be able to exist in my intuitive goddess energy. You're the one being romantic. You're the one cleaning the house and cooking for me. Misogynistic men think that the woman needs to cook and everything. We're going to do it out of love, naturally. But in order for us to be in our natural state of love, the man needs to provide something. And I swear to God, the next man that I'm dating is going to be my husband. He's going to be my husband, and it's going to be the standard list is going to be there. It's going to be there. If you're not able to do that, I'm getting up and I'm leaving from the date. And even there, I might not even go on the date. I'm not going to waste my time. I don't have time to waste. My energy is too precious. And the old me would have looked at who I am today and be like, oh my gosh, she's a bitch. And hell yeah, I'm a fucking bitch. Because I've done the other side. And this is where, for me, I show myself a lot of grace through this process, because I've done the other side. I've tried the other way. I've tried to be in my masculine energy. I've tried of being the provider. I've tried to be like the sensitive one that like takes care of the other man. I've tried all of this. Didn't work. Didn't make me happy. The opposite actually made me depressed, suicidal. So we're not doing that. I'd rather be seen as a bitch by an insecure little man and being seen as a goddess by a real man than staying where I was. Because like I said, a man that is looking for a woman that pays 50-50, a man that is looking for a woman that takes care of him instead of him taking care of her, is a man that is looking for another man. And I'm too feminine for that. No, thank you.
All right. Hey, y'all. I wanted to get into this video because I came across this video the other day on TikTok, and although she's not wrong, right? She's not necessarily wrong. There's things that, of course, lack a lot of nuance, right? It's not but so much you can put in a social media video, right? So I wanted to kind of like decipher what she means, kind of explain a little bit about what she means and why not black women, just women in general, how this all like sort of came to be, without going into a super lot of details, but enough for you to be able to get the gist, right? Because what she's saying is not incorrect, but it is a pipe dream. And women want certain things from men that they're never going to get. And And I just want to point out some of the, not necessarily discrepancies, but if women have any hope of ushering in what she's speaking of into humanity, a lot of work has to be done. And a lot of things have to be restructured. And that person, she says she's gonna hold out for her husband. The next person she gets or be in a relationship with is gonna be her husband. If they don't do the things that she listed, she's gonna immediately leave the date. I don't think this man exists, but we're gonna get into that a bit later. Because women say things like that, it's like once you kind of come into a knowing, but you need to dig deeper, right? The only way out is through, and that means through you. So it's very much valid, a lot of the things that she's saying, but I want to go into detail into why women will never get the things that she want to get if things don't change drastically. But first, I wanted to introduce myself for some of the new people that have found me over on YouTube and everything. And my name is Danielle LaVirgo. You either know me from YouTube or you know me from TikTok. Welcome. I wanted to show you guys or you ladies, whoever, my Patreon is only for women, but what I do is what I call the shadow goddess journey, right? Or just the goddess journey, because I believe in being balanced, but I believe in order to be balanced, we have to go into the darkness. We have to go into our own shadow and do that kind of work. And so I'm here to support in that. I'm here for, wisdom and guidance in some areas. And hopefully in my Patreon community, people are able to also share their wisdom. On my lives, people are able to share their wisdom. And we go back and forth. A lot of times people say things that I've never heard of course, because none of us know much of anything. So that exchange is always welcome here. And the first thing I wanted to do is to introduce myself. So that's pretty much what I do. We talk about the things that people don't want to talk about. We, pick apart, we go into the spaces and the crevices that people don't want to go into, that really changes the trajectory of who you are and propels you into growing and becoming who you want to be, creating the life in your reality the way it best suits you, learning how to put yourself first and manipulate your own reality to your benefit, right? So a lot of my content I will be posting, especially my in-depth content, will be on Patreon, especially where I go into a lot more specificities about the things that I talk about, things that I don't want to put on in public. So it has to go behind a paywall. And then I'll also be dropping my new website and, other things of that nature. So I have 2 tiers in my Patreon. I'm going to pull up my Patreon just so you guys can kind of see, what you'll kind of get a view of when you join the Patreon and join the other ladies who have already joined. So this is what my Patreon, now this is of course is what it looked like on the computer, not on like your cell phone, but pretty much the same. The Shadow Goddess Journey, the Goddess Journey, and I'm your Shadow Goddess hostess, Danielle LaVirgo, but I absolutely believe in balance. So that is the main thing that I do here. And then I have a couple of tiers. This is the welcome. I have a couple of tiers. The first tier is my divine goddess tier, and the second tier is my ascended goddess tier. So you get different things. You get perks with both tiers. You get obviously more perks with the ascended goddess tier. I've already had people join that tier. The first 6 people that join the ascended goddess tier will get their welcome gift early, which is normally something that would be shipped out to you, that you would get as being an ascended goddess tier after 3 consecutive months of membership. But because I'm just dropping this, I wanted to do something cute, something special for all of my ladies who are coming here to do the goddess work early. Okay, so yeah, that's what you'll get. I have videos already uploaded. This is one of my older videos, where you can, my TikTok lives and stuff will only be on my Patreon. Certain YouTube lives will only be on Patreon, and then I have collections. So this was a poll I took to see if they wanted the welcome gift to be a surprise or if they wanted to choose. So I always give that option. But then I have a couple of collections that, of course, over time I'll, have videos, more and more videos for those, that will also eventually be available for purchase separately for people not on the Patreon. But of course, if you're in the Patreon, it's free. So I have a collection called For Black Women, which is highlights videos specifically tailored towards Black women. My TikTok live replays, deconstructing love, because that's something that I'm gonna get a little bit into in this video. And this video actually might go into this. I tried to put it in collections, so if you're looking for certain material, certain content, you can go straight to it. So deconstructing what love means to us, the difference between the conditioning and what it actually is, and then deconstructing womanhood. This can probably be in both of these, right? Probably, maybe even deconstructing womanhood even more. But yeah, yeah, and it's quite a few things. These are the two tiers. So this is the divine goddess tier, and then the ascended goddess tier. So you can see the price, you see like the perks and everything. So yeah, but anyway, so I wanted to get into this video because I have a lot to say. I made a quick video on TikTok about it a couple of days ago, but I did want to get back into it more. So we're going to go through this video one more again, okay? And I'm going to kind of highlight my
I'm really
thoughts.
grateful for this time being celibate because it truly helped me see.
So to sum up the video again, she's basically talking about how men are supposed to serve women, and women are goddesses. We have the portal, all of that jazz, right? But they're not doing that. And this video was kind of lengthy. It's like an 8-minute video. So, and it always reminds me why I try to make short videos, but I'm so long-winded. I have so many thoughts, so I get it. First of all, I'll start off by saying, men absolutely were created to worship women. Absolutely were created to worship women. She said something in the video about women not having ego, had to learn to have ego. Lies. As above, so below. The goddesses and gods have egos just like we have an ego. All women have egos, and women have big egos. Ego shows up differently in the feminine than it does in the masculine, right? But that does not mean it does not exist. We absolutely have egos, and we have big egos. What did Beyonce say? Have big ego, such a huge ego, but he love my big ego. Okay, it's too big, it's too wide, it's too strong, it won't fit. We got egos, okay? It's big, it's wide, it's strong, all outside can't contain women's ego. So I find it ironic that women think they don't have an ego. Thinking you don't have an ego highlights the fact that you have an ego. But let's continue.
See my role as a girlfriend differently so that the next man that I date is truly going to be my husband.
And honestly, I'll go ahead and nip this in the bud and say right now, women are never going to get this because they want it too bad. Like, if you create a sentient being, if you create an entity so close to you that you have to use them to reproduce, do the math. Do the math on how obsessed with men women are. And the feminine women are very chaotic and do really silly shit when they get bored, right? Like create men and then want to control them in every way. You created men because you were bored of femininity alone. And then you gave them so much power, you let them get out of control, and now look at you. Scrambling, trying to figure out how you can get a man to worship you. And then this highlights a video that is in my Patreon. It's only available in my Patreon, where I found that clip on Instagram, and it was from like those book talk girlies, where they wanted these big beasts. This is the kind of vibe I want with my man, and there's these big scary entities. Join Patreon to see that. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, women can't even figure out how to control men, but you want to create an even bigger beast. You know how I know women have egos and large egos? Because you created a big scary thing with all your divine creation and love. And instead of figuring out how you can take a step back and get control of them, because make no mistake, patriarchy was able to be ushered in because sisterhood is non-existent. So don't act like y'all care so much about femininity now, because you only care about this world's distortion of femininity, where you get to dress up, right? Put on pretty clothes and pretend that that is the definition of what femininity is. And you end up with women just like this. Yet her priority is still to find a husband and a man. And you think it makes you different from any other pick-misha, as people like to call it, as Shira like to call it, you or pick-me. You think you're any different from any other pick-me, and your goal is still to be married. Bottom line, if women want to get anywhere near close to any of what she's saying, you're going to have to off the desire to want to be in relationships with men, and at this point, to want children. Bottom line, because y'all are too wrapped up in the storyline. And when you want to create something new, you have to destroy it. You have to destroy the old. Very rarely will you be able to pick apart, because first of all, women are not, most women aren't even capable of doing what's necessary to get their power and autonomy back. And then we're also beefing and arguing with the women who don't want it in the first place, right? The wives, the people who prioritize, the women who prioritize wanting to be in relationships with men and have their children. I mean, women created men, the goddesses created men because they were so bored. And as I said in that video on TikTok, your everything that the divine feminine, the knowledge of creation of men, they know. This was a whole separate video, because women know who men are because you created them, and you still create them. Every man that exists in this world that does something bad is some woman's son that she could have not had. Either you want to move like a goddess or you don't, because she mentioned, oh, we're all goddesses, blah, blah, blah. You want to move like a goddess? Join this Patreon. You want to move like a goddess? Like, follow, and subscribe so you can see my video and my content. You can participate. If you want to move like a goddess, you're going to have to shred and deconstruct everything you know to be true. All of your priorities, all of your goals, and all of that involves a man. Women's egos are so large that you created a being that became so sentient that he no longer wants to serve you because he has his own mind, right? Women want to create a whole different thing because they can't control what they already created. Let's keep going.
One that truly loves me and provides for me as a masculine, instead of me being the woman and serving him. Growing up with a misogynistic father, I realized truly that I put myself second.
All men have misogynistic ways, just like we have an understanding as Black people that all people have racist tendencies because they can't help it. So does men, right? all of our fathers have misogynistic views. The idea of women wanting men to cater to them in this way is very oxymoronic from what she's saying, right? Like sometimes you have to pick and choose. You don't get both. Just like you're a sentient being who don't want to do this and don't want to do that. Why do you think y'all want men to be kind? You want them to be intelligent? Well, the goddesses should have thought about that before they created them and should have created something different. But y'all like to be triggered. Women like to be triggered. Women like to be humiliated. Women have to go deep, do the shadow work so they can deconstruct these things that we feel. We are attracted to all of the negative attributes that men are. We're attracted to those things. That's why they exist. Because if women wanted to end all of this, we could end it immediately. In the next few years, it would get dark. It might get violent. But you could end it by simply closing your legs, by simply not having children. Are you willing to do that? Because I don't think the average woman is. I don't think majority of women are willing to actually go that far. You're not willing to sacrifice your needs and wants and desires for a greater cause. There's some ego around here somewhere.
In the relationship, as a woman, I thought that I was second, that I was last, when in reality, men are indebted to women. And I know this is going to trigger a lot of.
And now that part is true, right? I also grew up extremely religious, being conditioned to think that women's job is to serve men, not speak over men, not speak while men are speaking. And it never made sense to me because it's the antithesis of everything that I am and everything that I stand for. And you know what? My same father, who is the head of household and who taught these things along with my mother, he respects the fact that I don't let any man, including him, tell me what to do. And he respected more than my own mother respected. So women have to go and do the work, do the shadow work to dismantle these things in you. Or even if they are things that you don't necessarily want to get rid of, like let's say a humiliation king, right? If you have a humiliation king, if you kind of like play fighting or you like certain things that get, certain things, figure out a way to harness that energy elsewhere, like in bedroom, right? Don't do that when choosing to pick a man to marry or to have children with, right? You don't pick the man that is going to embarrass you, that is going to not take care of your children, that is going to show up when he feel like it, put babies, fertilize your eggs so that he might have somewhere to stay in 2.5 years when you want to, oh, I want my belly back. Women have extremely large egos. And the idea that we don't have large egos, we created ego. What do you mean? If we're creation, we're source. We created everything. That means you have to take ownership and responsibility of your creation, period. And women don't want to do that. And if you're not willing to do that, I don't want to hear this goddess talk from you, because you're actually moving like the help. Okay? Men are not providers and protectors. They're not. If you don't think that last video I did where this man is screaming out how he don't even want to go call the bank to see why his card doesn't work or pick up his medicine, does that sound like a provider and a protector to you? No. Men protect what they believe is theirs, which inherently is wrapped up in misogyny because they believe women belong to them. So your husband will only protect you because he thinks he owns you to some degree. He thinks you belong to him. And honestly, women think the same way. So before we sit around talking about how difficult and how horrible men are, remember that you created them. Tap into the shadow, that the parts of you that enjoy the way that they are. Go deep. Nobody has to know about your journey. Nobody has to know when you are choosing to kind of step outside of yourself for a minute to observe your behavior, to observe that I like this. I'm being stimulated by this. And then learn to differentiate from when it's something that you actually like some people are into humiliation and kinks, take that into the bedroom, or versus something you need to get rid of because it's detrimental to you. Know the difference. The only way to know the difference is to know yourself.
Insecure man. But seeing it this way really changed my perspective. Why? Because women for lifetimes have been the oracles of men. We've been the oracles, we've been the intuition, we've been the power, we've been the energy behind the success.
And I also touched on this a little bit yesterday, I think, on TikTok, when she said women are the oracles, women are the intuition. I absolutely agree with that. But what does that look like? Because a lot of women get so caught up in how it feels, the dopamine hit of hearing things like you're a goddess and we create men and you're strong. But what does that look like in action? Because a lot of women don't actually want to take action. When you start doing this work, you start to understand where your priority should be, right? Which should predominantly be on you. If your priority is on you, your priority is not on trying to find a man or trying to be in a relationship. Now, it's no shade to her or any other woman who like this, because we all have to get there, right? And I try not to stand on a soapbox about it because a lot of these things came naturally to me. But then I have other things that come less natural to me, like hating other women, like mistrust of other women. I fundamentally don't trust anyone like that, but I do, but I don't. But I've always prioritized friendship. So I very quickly learned as a teenager that I would be on my own with that. So even though I know that I prioritize friendships, the same amount of energy and vetting y'all have to do for men, because y'all are so obsessed with being in a relationship with them, I wouldn't even say the same amount of vetting I would have to do, because I vet my friendships just like I do my relationships, right? So I have always chosen pretty good friends. I want her to be my friend. Friends that till this day we're still friends. Now that does not mean it doesn't end. That does not mean I have 20-year friendship that have ended. 20-year friendship that have ended. So that's not to say you don't outgrow people or you'll be friends forever, but it's to say it was good while it lasted, right? We weren't in the street telling each other's business. We ain't in the street telling each other's business right now. The friendship is done, move on. So it's not natural for a lot of women these days to really prioritize their being feminine for real. Putting on lashes, putting on makeup, putting on pink dresses and wearing beige, that's not femininity. That is a caricature of what the feminine is. The feminine is egotistical. The feminine is creative. The feminine is destructive, right? The feminine is protective. The feminine provides. The shadow feminine, which we all have, everyone, including men, right? It protects you. It keeps you aware. It builds your trust with yourself and your intuition and keeps you in alignment. It keeps you understanding how to discern. That's what women need to focus on, not trying to put on makeup and wear the right outfits and say the right thing, right? Because if that's what you're doing, you're still a version of a pick-me-sha. You're still a version of a pick-me, because your whole world revolves around trying to catch a man. And a lot of y'all want to catch a man because you want to be in love. You don't want to catch a man because you want to use him for his money. Because the majority of women don't have the stomach for that. Because even this woman don't have the stomach for that. I can tell by what she's saying. She still want a man that loves her. She still want a man, like, I'm not saying you should want a man that don't love you, but she's saying it in a way that she also will give him love too, right? Reserve your love for yourself and your children if you have them. Mostly for yourself, because you can't love anybody else, including your kids, if you don't love yourself, if you're not constantly loving on yourself. Period.
Success of men. It's thanks to our intuition. It's thanks to our healing capability.
Oh, what I was going to say, intuition, healing capabilities. I 1000% agree with her on this. And what I was saying was, when you are engaging, with a man, or you're in a relationship, whether it's long-term or whatever, this is absolutely true. When you engage in those activities as a woman, you are taking on, you're receiving his energy physically, emotionally, spiritually, literally, right? This should be taken a lot more seriously. When you become in tune with his frequency and within his energetic field, sometimes more than he is, right? So, meaning you can feel what he's feeling. You're absorbing his energy. This is why men desire women so much. Sexual energy is a healing energy. It recharges him. You have to make sure that you know what you're doing and that your energies are balanced, that you're not engaging when you are in a low state, right? He'll recharge off your battery and now you in the negatives. But when you are do that, let's say the relationship is good. Let's say, everything is, you can feel what he's going through. You can feel when he's stressed, when you can feel when he's overworked. And this is why I said women have large egos and lack empathy. She also mentioned empathy. Women lack empathy. In order to understand what you're reading in someone's energetic field, you have to have empathy. And I mean controlled empathy. Shadow goddess, okay? Know what you're doing when you're doing it. You have to be able to read that energy. The only way you can do that is if you know yourself, right? We're all human. We're all factory settings the same. You start to know each other because you know their habits. You know what the things that they say, the things that they do. You know their moves, their patterns. When you are in touch with yourself, you will be in touch with him. And this is not to say that you are doing this to feed him and to, and I mean spiritually and emotionally feed him. But I'm saying this because you need to know this for good and bad. If he's showing up for you in the way you need and you have a good partner, you're able to guide him in the spiritual realm the way he does sort of in the physical realm, because he's physically stronger in that way. You are top tier in the spiritual realm. When you are not guided by your own intuition and your own discernment, ain't nothing you can do about his energy and his energetic field, because you don't know what to do with yours. You have to learn to tap into yourself. How do you do that? Spend time alone. Do your childhood work. Find hobbies. Find things that you love to do. Be stress-free. Create an environment. People love talking about feminine aesthetics. What about the aesthetic of stress-free? Y'all are looking for men to pay your way because you think it's going to be stress-free. It's an energetic exchange. So know what you're giving when you're getting that. Okay? It's your life, it's your choice. There is no right or wrong way. But know what you're doing when you're doing it. Learn how to think for yourself. Stop thinking because women get online and say men are supposed to do this and men are supposed to do that. Now, that being said, in a patriarchy, if he is not doing that, he does not need to have your attention. Layers. We go into layers. You got to be able to keep up on this channel. You got to be able to keep up, which means you got to be doing work on your own, right? So it's layered. At the same time, if women have any hope of men getting to this, I do agree that men have to understand who women really are. But it is too many women out here in this world pretending that they are not goddesses. You are not moving like a goddess when you're thirsty, when you're so thirsty to be married that you don't realize that a dude is throwing you a shut up ring. You're not moving like a goddess or like a powerful entity when you want to be married so bad that you beg a dude for a ring. Listen, I will argue that you should never even have to ask, not one time, for a ring. Not once. Sure, you should be having conversations about marriage if that is something that you're interested in. But you don't need to be asking him for a ring or shopping for a ring or calling ring companies. Y'all are desperate. Men will never move the way you want them to move when you're moving the way you're moving, source. So until women get past that stage of blaming men for everything, you're never going to get what you want to do. We know men are horrible. We know they're violent. We know they stand up for the patriarchy. For men being exactly who women created them to be. I get it. We know who men are. Now what? You're going to spend the next 3 years complaining about everything we already been talking about? Or are you going to move on? Join the shadow goddess. Get on your goddess journey and join that Patreon. Okay? Because we talk about the real stuff around here. Another layer is women lack empathy for men. You created a being that is so sentient that he's developed his conscious to the point where you now depend on him to have your children and to reproduce. So let him grow. Let him be a better person, which means he also don't have time to be up your ass. Okay? You don't want to do all, how dare you get online complaining about the man who fussing aggressively about wanting a traditional wife to do all the adult things he don't want to do, when you also are asking men to go to work like they're workhorses and soldiers, work their entire life away to pay your bills so you get to do what? Play around in the spiritual world. It sounds amazing, but it's not realistic. We are in a patriarchy. And as far as I can tell, majority of women enjoy it. Act like it. Because the bottom line is y'all are not going to get rid of the patriarchy by continuing to participate in it. And I'll say this because I don't play around with nuance and balance. Again, you got to keep up around here. You have to be a thinker, a critical thinker around here, right? So even if you wanted men to get in this position, what are you going to have to sacrifice to get them there? Because they're not going to just give you power. They're not going to give your power back. While y'all are so busy destroying the womanhood and being bored with each other, y'all allow men to sneak in with their subpar asses and take over the world. And honestly, y'all like it. You co-sign it every day. There's going to come a time at some point where you're going to have to decide. Do you want to keep having his babies or do you not? Now, while we're still here, you do have to balance some sort of way. You have to participate in society. I'm not saying get so crazy that you lose yourself. But what I am saying, if you're going to participate, be smart about it. Always choose yourself. That's why you have to do shadow work, because shadow work shows you who you are in every facet. We're used to being taught that we're supposed to be prim and proper and good, but what does that mean? In this world, up is down, down is up, good is bad, bad is good. So you have to learn how to define things for yourself, and you have to do shadow work. There is no way around it. Shadow work is an intimate journey. Figuring out your triggers, figuring out your buttons, figuring out what you like and what you don't like, figuring out the dark shit about you. We are both yin and yang. Stop running from your own darkness. If you can't control it, that's where we go into the realm of narcs and paths and all of that. And we don't want to be that. We're well balanced. We're emotionally balanced. You should be able to know if you have these intuitive gifts and you're an oracle, you should know when your man is doing too much, right? You should know when he's working too hard. But if you got him paying all your bills, what do you want? Y'all have to be realistic about this, right? You have to critically think. I'm not saying in a patriarchy, you split bills with a grown man. I'm not saying in a patriarchy, but we're talking about a bunch of women who still want to have kids and be married to men. So you have to make sure he is paid. Yes, that should be a prerequisite to even take your class. Money should not even be a topic of conversation. Moving on.
It's thanks to our portal between our legs. It's thanks to our body that they are able to come here on earth.
And I want to make something clear. I don't think I'm going to go through her whole video. I'm going to fast forward a little bit after this. But I'm going to make something very clear, right? Yes, we have a portal. It's very magical. It brings entity that brings souls into this realm, right? Your portal is worthless if the shit you are producing is worthless, right? If you're not putting anything decent out into the world, that does not mean go try to put something decent in the world. I think women should pause on having children. These men are out of hand. And you don't get to pick and choose whether you have girl children or boy children or not. But that's my opinion. Do what you want to do. Your body, your choice. But understand, if you believe that you are this powerful and you believe you're a guy, understand you are the source. And the source, every issue that you have will always be redirected to source. You and your magical portal. Every man that's destroying this planet came out of some woman's portal who could have made other arrangements. So your portal ain't doing you no good if you pumping out a bunch of people who don't even want to be here. They don't want to be here. When somebody, listen, period. Moving on.
Without women, men would not exist. Let me repeat. Without women, men would not exist.
I want y'all to act like it though. I say this all the time. Men would not exist. You have the big Joker card. If you are of the Black American descent, you know what that means. You have the big Joker card. We'll take down any card that exists, but you still have to know how to play the big Joker card right. You can't go putting down your big Joker card halfway through the game. Okay? You can't go putting down your big Joker card to take a book. And the highest book is a Queen of Hearts or something. Like you like, let the queen ride. Let the queen ride. It's not enough to have the portal. It's not enough to have the big Joker card. You still have to learn how to maneuver in the game. Women refuse to do that because they're so busy trying to beg men to act right. A part of that is very much egotistical. Yeah, that is very egotistical. Men have developed consciousness enough to where they want more. And a lot of women enjoy the fact that men will destroy everything around them to get more. You love it. Admit that you love it so you can learn how to do something different. And if you don't love it, well, understand that a lot of women do.
Life would not exist. And
okay, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit.
From a standpoint of dictatorship, or I don't know if I'm using the right word, or from an authoritarian perspective, or from the fact that we see men lower than us, absolutely not. It's just the truth. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just the truth. Men are indebted to us because we already put them in this world. And us loving them and us letting them worship us means that they are staying next to our energy. So already we are giving them a gift.
Because this is the thing. Not everybody appreciates your gift. Understand that, right? I had a situation in my own relationship that I've had, right? I had a situation where sometimes you have to know when to say something and when to not say something. I'll just say this. I'm very tapped in. So in one of my, without telling too much of my business, in dealings with an ex of mine, right? I picked up on a lot of his energy. I just was not comfortable with telling him, right? Because you also have to be in tune with what space they're in, what they want to hear, what they don't want to hear, right? And when you know somebody for a long time, you kind of know that. You kind of know if they're going to be open to it. And sometimes if it's something that you feel like you want to share, you might have to give a little bit to see how they're going to take it, right? See how receptive they're going to be to it. That's part of being an oracle. Oracle don't mean acting every time you see something. Being an oracle means knowing, but knowing that you have to let people figure their own shit out and choose for themselves. So it's not enough to just have the gift and even know what to do with it. The gift, it should never destroy you. The gift should never be at your detriment, right? So you don't give and try to get a man to change and try to get him to handle his business so he's less stressed and so he's not running amok and doing all these things and inching himself into an early grave. If he's not going to listen to you because he's a man and patriarchy taught him that you don't know anything and he don't take you seriously, guess what? Reserve that for somebody else. Grieve, swallow it, and move on, right? Being an oracle is knowing that people have to figure out things for themselves. When I get on here and I talk, take what I say with a grain of salt, right? You are your own reality. You know what's going on. No matter how many details you give me in your life, I will never fully understand, right? So here I share wisdom. I share a skill set for you to take and develop into what works for you and your reality and your relationship and your situations at work, wherever you need it, right? I don't tell people what to do. I don't tell people how to live, but I will point things. Like as long as women have these desires, you're never going to get them if you prioritize relationships with men. Men understand reward. And women, as long as you continue to seek relationships with them in any kind of way, your judgment is foggy because they're a priority, right? Deprioritize something and see how much of your energy you give it.
Them being at the same frequency as us and being around us, sleeping with us, touching the energy of our portal, we're already giving them a gift. We're giving them the gift of our oracle intuitive.
1000%. I literally made a video. This is the first time I had watched this video all the way through. But 1000%. 1000%. But people will not always be receptive to your gift. Men will not always be receptive to your gift. I don't care how valuable you think your gift is. Men will not always be receptive to your gift because they're also under conditioning. So you need to know when a man is also on his own journey to be a better person, right? And let's be realistic for a second. You can't expect a man to be on a journey of enlightenment and higher consciousness and have time to pay all your bills. Wealthy men, listen, I'll say this. I'll say a lot of billionaires have astrologers and rich people, we hear this, have astrologers and stuff like that, but they hire people to do it, right? We're talking about regular people in regular life who don't have the finances to hire astrologers and spiritual workers to do things on their behalf. So we have to learn certain things and do them when we can't learn everything, right? So you got to understand as a woman, if you want an enlightened man, he most likely won't be very wealthy. And billionaires and things like that who do astrology and do spiritual work to help them elevate themselves, you might want to steer clear of them, but whatever. Most of us wouldn't have access to them anyway, right? So, and a lot of people also use spirituality for bad. Everything is bad and good. Spirituality esoteric knowledge, occult knowledge can be good. People can use it for good and bad. Your priority should always be yourself.
Energy within. That is the gift.
Know when you are begging, right? when you have to keep asking for something over and over and over and over, when you're sitting around waiting for a ring over and over, when you're in a cycle, a loop of doing the same thing in a relationship with this man, get off the merry-go-round. You're not moving like a goddess. You're not moving like an oracle. You're trying to force knowledge onto someone. Being an oracle is putting the information out there and letting them figure out on their own. Remember in the Matrix where Neo went to the oracle? And she was like, she basically told him nothing, a bunch of nothing, but everything at the same time. But you let people come to you. The oracle didn't come to Neo. Neo came to the oracle. So you let men come to you. If you think that there's something that may be happening, maybe he's exhausted, the solution to exhaust is rest. When you rest in capitalism, you lose money. Okay, so y'all know what you're asking for. Do the work. Again, no choice, no lifestyle is wrong or right. Just know what you're doing. When you do proper shadow work, you know what you're doing. When you take your shadow goddess journey, you're able to decipher between something that's beneficial and something that's not. You need to know what you're doing. And a lot of people don't know what they're doing. You need to know how to protect yourself. Set boundaries around your gift. Women are boundaryless when it comes to everyone, except other women. See.
So there's absolutely nothing else that we need to do. And this is why truly, like, I'm getting more and more. I'm not opening. You're the one buying me gifts. You're the one paying for shit. You're the one making sure that my environment is safe for me to be able to exist in my intuitive goddess energy.
And I get what she's saying, but this is the thing. You don't live in a Disney Channel fantasy, right? Everything that she's asking for men costs them energetically. Are men slaves? What do you want them to be to you? Because you have to pick and choose. Are men slaves? Do you want them to grow? Do you not want them to grow? Do you want them to be robots and soldiers? Because a robot and soldier ain't going to be bringing you flowers. A robot and soldier is not going to be taking, whining and dining you and rub your feet. Okay? Know what y'all are asking for when you're asking it. Because what y'all are asking for from a lot of regular men is physically, mentally, spiritually taxing and exhausting. And because women's egos are so big, y'all don't care in the same way men don't care. But you're the creator and the source, so it'll always go back to you. You're asking a man to do all of these things, pay for all of these things. Women are trying to get men to be like women, but y'all don't even like other women. See,
you're the one being romantic. You're the one cleaning the house.
If you live with a woman, you live with a man, especially in adult age, you know the difference. There are certain things women naturally do. Clean up. They're cognizant of where they leave their things. They're cognizant of how dirty they leave. Men are not like that. And that there's no right or wrong, but understand when you go to try to live with a man or marry a man, you're going to be picking up his shit unless he's very clean. And a very, very, very clean man will probably also have other quirks. So y'all need to be looking at big picture. But most women are just like, I just got to find a man. I 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 got to get married so I can feel validated. I got to get a ring. I got to get a ring. It's the most important thing in life is getting a ring. You're never gonna. You don't move like a goddess because you're not one. You're moving like a desperate bimbo, and it shows. It shows. You prioritize. The way women prioritize rings, getting a ring and getting a man to marry you, like you're prioritizing trying to conquer men and domesticate them. The very idea, and I'll talk about this again in more of my deconstructing love, but the very idea of being in love and wanting to marry somebody, especially if you have to keep asking them, means that y'all are misaligned. So you actually don't give a damn about him. You give a damn about your goals and your aesthetics or whatever you see your life going, meeting certain milestones. That's what you give a fuck about. Or you wouldn't be trying to pressure somebody into getting married that don't want to marry you. Because honestly, even if you gave a man an ultimatum and you left, you packed your shit up, you moved, and he came knocking on your door, personally for me, I still wouldn't take him back, because you still are only offering me a ring because I left, meaning you didn't want to do it. Nothing changed. Y'all want men to have these great epiphanies that, oh, he's finally seen the light and seen that I'm God. He's supposed to protect and provide, to create a safe space for me to do it. She sounds just like that man in the last video I posted, who men want women to do shit in the physical world. Y'all men want women. Like, you think what you have to offer as an oracle in the spiritual world is enough for this man to slave away the rest of his life to pay all your bills so you don't have to work. Make it make sense. Y'all got to choose. Y'all got to dig deeper. That's what shadow work is, digging deep. Dismantling everything that you know to be true, little by little. Start with whatever it is you prioritize. If you prioritize being in a relationship, start dismantling love and conditioning and Disney Channel shit, how men really are, how women really are. Start there.
And cooking for me. Misogynistic men think that the woman needs to cook and everything. We're going to do it out of love, naturally. But in order for us to be in our natural state of love, the man needs to provide something. And I swear to God, the next man that I'm dating is going to be my husband. He's going to be my husband, and it's going to be the standard.
She's still prioritizing her husband. Y'all are begging, and you're wondering why you don't get anything. Goddesses command. They don't beg.
This is going to be there. It's going to be there. If you're not able to do that, I'm getting up and I'm leaving from the date. And even there,
as long as as long as somebody has something that you want, they'll always be able to dangle it over your head. Get rid of the desire to want to get married. If you want to actually wield some sort of power over men, get rid of the desire to want to be married. Right? Because as long as you have a strong inkling for something, a strong desire for something, you're gonna bend and contort yourself and rearrange your standards in hopes of getting that thing. You're gonna compromise. You're gonna do things that you once said you wouldn't do. Or if you're not and you toe the line, you most likely will be single.
I might not even go on the date. I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna waste my time. I don't have time to waste. My energy is too precious. And the old me would have looked at who I am today and be like, oh my gosh, she's a bitch. And hell yeah, I'm a fucking bitch. Because I've done the other side. And this is where, for me, I show myself a lot of grace. Energy is.
I have to fast forward a little bit.
Bitch. And hell yeah, I'm a fucking bitch. Because I've done the other side. And this is where, for me, I show myself a lot of grace through this process, because I've done the other side. I've tried the other way. I've tried to be in my masculine energy. I've tried to.
I don't know what she means by masculine energy, because people really don't understand what those things mean. But we've all tried it, right? We've all been kind. We all given money. We all, all mostly because we have a goal, right? You want to be picked, you want to be chosen, so it's like, understand that fundamentally everything that you do is inherently selfish, and that's okay, right? You have certain needs, not everything you do, but like a lot of big choices that you make is inherently selfish, right? You just want a husband. Why? Is it because you want partnership? Is it because you want to share a life with somebody? Is it because you want to share a bed? Is it because you want to pick up socks and stuff behind people? Why? That's a good place to start in any journey, is asking yourself why. Why am I feeling this way? Why am I desiring this? What is happening here? Does this stem from anything? Have I ever experienced this feeling before? Have I ever experienced this situation before? Or this scenario? Is this connected to something that I'm experiencing or have experienced, and that's why I'm being triggered? Listen, we'll get into more of this later into my Patreon in terms of, specificities of things to ask yourself to start to probe your brain to learn how to process new information and think deeply quickly, right? But if women have hope in any of these things coming true, you have to start from the drawing board. And a lot of times you have to burn everything to the ground as you know it so that you can rebuild it. That's all I have for today with this video. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, like, subscribe, and my Patreon, all Danielle LaVirgo. Okay. I love y'all so much. Thank you for being here. Share your thoughts in the comment section. All right. And enjoy the rest of your day.